Leather tanneries in Bangladesh are increasingly becoming a visible tarnish on Bangladesh's credibility as a clean and sustainable producer of tanned leather. The industrial chemicals used to tan the leather are toxic and have detrimental impacts to public health and the environment. Although the name Hazaribagh means 1,000 gardens, this picture shows the true colors of the heavily polluted city that has fallen victim to tannery factory pollutants. When canals like this overflow, the highly polluted water runs into residents' homes. The residents are constantly fighting itchy rashes each time that they come in contact with the polluted water expelled from the more than 200 toxic tanneries in the area. Residents are forced to spend much of their earnings on medicine for their families. The owners of the tannery factories in Hazaribagh have pledged to clean up the area and move to another location. But these promises have long proven to be empty. Then there's the second question. Would this simply happen all over again in the new place where the factories decide to relocate? Many of the factory workers have serious health conditions, including pollutants in their blood, scarring, rashes, blurred vision, headaches, and cancer, to name a few. The factories provide workers with pills that the workers consider worthless and ineffective. The workers see the tanneries as their only means of survival, and if the tanneries leave, the workers would not have any source of income to provide food for their families. One worker, when asked if he would let his kids work in a tannery, said, "What else can they do?" Many of the children in the area work at the tanneries so that they can survive. Among other contributors, child labor has assisted in the creation of the billion-dollar leather exporting industry in Bangladesh. Despite all efforts to curb this highly disturbing situation, the industry still flourishes. There are very poor working conditions inside of the tanneries. Workers can be seen in the factories performing their duties without protective equipment. Burns and rashes are a common health problem among most of the workers in the tanning factories. In question, workers explained that their supervisors are well aware of the burns, rashes, and other health problems, but they simply don't care about these types of things. Many of the tannery managers refuse to interview with the press because of fear of retribution. The factory managers who do participate in interviews refuse to acknowledge that there are any health issues with their workers. But they do acknowledge that the chemical runoff into the local river is a huge problem. Although not acknowledged, ventilation also appears to be very poor within the factories. Factory managers acknowledge that the runoff from the factories simply goes through a drainage system and then straight into the nearby streams. The waste discharge from each factory can total 50 to 60,000 liters or more each day. The government estimates that nearly 8,000 tons of liquid waste are dumped into the local Buriganga River every day. This is Dhaka's main waterway. People can no longer fish or use the water for consumption. The water is completely unusable. With the local rivers and streams being so contaminated, they are basically considered dead and not resourceful at all. Families are forced to find other sources for sustenance, but there is hope. Pressure from the Bangladesh government and foreign buyers have started generating positive movements towards change. A large effluent treatment facility is being built in Savar, which is the industrial zone north of the capital. In addition, the government has started taking initiative in removing toxic waste from the bottom of its rivers. But as the waste continues to be dumped into the rivers, the contamination continues to be a problem. Government policy and factory compliance are two critical pieces of the puzzle that need to be solved.